Welcome back. So in this section we are going to build this one. So we already did this and this. So let's begin. Card section, team section 3. Okay. $3XL font weight 600. And it's a gray 500. Okay, better. And also we have some add-ons I included, which includes the accessibility, which make sure the contrast is okay and stuff like that. For example, if I reduce the contrast, make it lighter, it's going to complain. Didn't complain. We have to refresh. Yeah. So it says the contrast between this gray and the white is 2.4443. Let's see for the 500. So while creating these variables, I made sure that text should have at least 5 shades more from here. If I am going to use a 400 in a 900 background, it's going to be legible. And if you're using a 800 background, a 300 text will be legible. So that happens from the opposite direction also. From the white, a 500 will be accessible, and so on. So here it says the element has sufficient color contrast of 4.6. So 4.5 is what we try to achieve. So this is text center. I think it is much more bolder than ours. Let's make it 700. And also everything, the page looks centered. So text center, which is text line center. That's the CSS property we have. And let's give some margin top. And whenever we find this right, so a rule of thumb is that a line should not have more than 60 characters. Max W 60 character, which says max with 60 characters. And let's use that. So whenever we doubt that the line can get larger, we will use this. And when we give a width, it's going to, we also have to give some margin auto mx for the right and left. Okay, better. And let's create this small card. We can actually just iterate over the data and create this JSX here itself. We don't have to create. So in the previous two sections we have created this card separately. We don't have to do it. We can just get the data, iterate it, have the JSX here, and we can just spawn these guys. But having them separately looks good to me. We can test them and stuff like that. So I'm going to create one. I'm going to call this card team 3. And so this card starts with I think it's a 6 rem height. Let's try it out. Yeah, W6, height 6, rounded circle. I think that's all. I think I shouldn't do this. I keep doing this. Let's have this in the story. So what do we have? We need an image with the same stuff, the picture, the name, and then the role. So let's go by that. Name, role, picture. And two divs with the name and role. And in the story, let's pass the name as Floyd Miles. Okay. Object color. Let's just use a grid to spawn these guys. The grid and grid calls 6. Okay, let's give some margin top 3 and then a gap of 3. So they have 24 users here. So instead of copy pasting 24 times, let's just const team is equal to an array. Okay, so we got 24 now. Let's work on the, so this time, so the last 2 times we had these hard-coded numbers based on the responsive screens, and you saw that that gets cumbersome. So this time I'm going to use another technique. So this autocall, as you can see, it comes from a variable called autocalls, which are just an array of sizes 5, 10, 15, 20. Autocall with the size. So we have the grid here, autocall maybe 10. So we have autocall 10 here, which means that when the size exceeds 10, for example, here there are 5. So when there is one more space for that, one more 10 rem, it will be populated with another card there. So that's all going in here. Let's try 5 just for, which is too narrow, or 15, which is too wide. I think if we have some 6 or 7 RAM, it will be helpful. So I'm going to modify the autocalls. I'm going to introduce one more thing. Before that, let's just try that out. So this is the autocall SCSS property, create template columns with repeat autofit with a min max of 5 RAM or 1 FR. So let's make it a 6 or 7. Or let's have it 7.5. I think this looks okay. Still spacious. Especially at this point. This has nothing to do with the screen size or the breakpoints. This is completely based on the width of individual elements. So 7.5 is not working for us. 6.5, 6. So I think 7.5 should be okay. Do they look okay? Similar? But I'm going to create that here. 7. So where instead of point, I always give as a standard, I give underscore. So here 7_5. Okay. So as you can see that this technique is much more simpler than the previous one without much coding. With just one thing, we dealt with all the responsiveness. So actually I'm happy with this, but I can see this huge gap in a vertical rhythm. There's a huge gap here and onwards, but this is not enough. So maybe let's give 5. How are these guys doing? So at least these guys, see, they have maintained this gap. I can't say if it is perfect, but almost. So I can see this will work. Sounds looks okay to me. So I'm going to wrap the section here, and we will proceed. See you later.